the normal model? And
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just had two things, one on the demo, the other on sort of the non-demo stuff. I don't know what you have to show, but right now I'm not getting the value proposition out of the demo. It's showing me a lot of the sort of account management issues, but not really coming across as why I get anything out of it except the verification part, in which case, demoing all the other things, how I can join the groups, I don't see what the value is there. And in particular, one of the issues is it's like I come into almost a blank page, I click on groups, but I have no idea what I get by doing that. I mean, I don't even know what an affinity group is. I mean, I do, but I don't know what it is, and what do I get by joining one? You know, what the positives would be. So you need to make that clear in the demo. Yeah. And that part of it could come up to the personas, but part of it has to be in the interface somewhere that says things like, at the very least, text that says, join groups to meet friends or find blah, blah, blah. Just even text stuff on there to pull in the value of what you're doing. It'd be nice if you could show anything, but I assume you don't have anything that shows the value on the university side, since in some sense they're the people going to be paying the money.
So you mean like a demo on the university side?
Yeah, well, or at least something just, huh?
Or a few
screens showing to the, they would get these stats or connections or.
It isn't clear from the presentation, you know, why they'd spend money
right.
on it, like what the value is for the university.
Because you say they'll get up-to-date information, but you don't actually show how. You know, what is the university page to Alum Social look like?
Yeah,
That'll
we
give
don't
them
have
access.
university pages yet. We've been having trouble with the back and forth flip-flopping between the two audiences.
Yeah.
So it's a good suggestion on how to balance that.
Well, in terms of development, the screenshots are just possible things to show the kind of information or the kind of access you'd give in just a mock-up screen without anything running yet. But in some sense, because that's the people who are going to be paying you, and to justify, here's what you would sell, this is how you would sell it to you and anybody else, you sell it to them by showing them, we're going to give you this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So something just to mock up, because it's really as much the marketing.
Yeah,
so that's,
even a simple report that just says, you know, here are the people who have signed up and the groups that they're associated with, because that's better information than the existing alumni directory. And in fact, you may want to show something like the existing Northwestern alumni directory and compare and contrast that screen.
So basically, you want to show why to the university they might be getting some information, and don't make the audience have to infer. Oh, I see. They could pull this out. Just give them. For instance, we could generate reports like this or links like this.
The best would be, like, I think if you just do even a 2-screenshot thing where you showed, you know, the fat man and the skinny man. So the fat man is what the directory looks like in Northwestern today, and the fact that they basically have class and name and maybe not even email. And then the fact that with Alum Social they could have, you know, class, name, email, groups they're associated with, maybe even, you know, friends that they're associated with. So.
Yeah. And then the on the outside, on the inside, I mean, you were structured very nicely, so you demoed it. In terms of structure of the presentation, it was right on target for me being able to evaluate and things like that. I felt that you could have said more for insights on what it was you found from your testers about what they wanted. You just said they wanted more features. Well, that's always true. Every people, when you demo to the testers, what specifically were they looking for that seemed to be like, oh, that's interesting that they would place that high. So what particular insights did you get from looking at testers? Also, you said you were going to measure and show the value. You might say something about what kind of metrics, look more specifically, you could measure, would be possible to measure, that would, again, sell it back to the university saying, this is worth, we'll pay you the first year, but we won't do it next year until you show an increase in this, and here's the kind of statistics you can get for them. And I didn't know what your basis was for your financial projections. I didn't see that. I saw the bar chart of money, but I didn't quite see where that, any hint as where that came from.
Some of it is based off of research we've done on alumni relations budgets and the kind of facets of the alumni relations that we could be.
So I just wondered what kind of assumption you're making.
Model, but it's not an estimation.
Well, I mean, it is based on assumptions of some level of penetration or some sort of share of budget they currently have.
It's based on number of colleges. Like it was actually in the presentation. I think we missed the slide, but like 2 colleges in the first year, 8 in the second year.
You guys presented that.
Yeah, I think The thing that I would say that's more information than the graph here is, like how much effort do you think it is to reach and close those colleges and how long it takes. And that also gives you the opportunity to say, hey, our experience so far is it's hard to engage with these alumni and development folks to get something closed, so we think it takes 6 months to close a deal. You need a person to do that, so that's the expense of closing it.
Yeah, I mean, you also might want to take into account some kind of estimate of how long it takes, once you have the agreement to integrate with all their systems and stuff, because typically that's not going to be straightforward.
I think the major question is to balance out what we can present within 10 minutes and actually anticipating what might be asked in the questions and being prepared for the question and answering.
Right, the stuff in the demo-wise, get rid of probably a bunch of the stuff in the demo and focus on some other
That's a
things.
good point. Yeah.
So that's trade. Show some university level stuff, trade for account management stuff.
Okay, that's a good point.
So I think, like for every screen you show in the demo, the thing that I would emphasize is, how is this showing value that's going to keep the alumni coming back to the page? Like that's sort of the thing I found a little bit unanswered even
So
with
for
the
the
demo.
alumni as well as for the university.
And then for the university, why am I going to pay the money?
Okay.
Those are the two questions you got to answer on value prop. And then if you answer that, then you have to say, and it's feasible. It's going to take some money, but then we think we can close some colleges and there's real money here.
But I think
Right.
that value proposition you're mentioning, it should be shown within the demo. Is that what you're saying?
In the demo or
Because I think
screenshot,
the slides-
whatever.
I think the slides kind of we tried to demonstrate it. Obviously, it's not clear enough.
For the alumni value proposition, that based on your product, you should be able to show in the demo.
Okay.
And then, if it's having some of the things cooked already, like maybe you start signed in already, so that you can see the profile page and you can hand wave through the Facebook Connect part, and then show a screenshot of what a exciting sample report looks like for the university. So.
And another part of that might be what kind of metrics are going to operationalize the value for the university side.
Right.
So is it the number of people that are looking at stuff? Is it something more than that? I mean,
and there is also this value that you sort of communicate in the demo, which is I can broadcast news to my alumni in a more targeted way. So being able to show that part of the value proposition for alumni. And then again, kind of on the before and after, which is like, today, either universities spend X amount of money to put those systems in place, or they have those systems but they're not effective because they're not targeted. Some of the data from talking to Northwestern. So.
Good. Just a few points. One of the things that you guys have an 800-pound, you have two 800-pound gorillas you don't address, which is LinkedIn and Facebook. You can choose not to address them, but my advice would be to address them somehow. And you need to be your audience is going to be, your advisors are going to be smart enough to know that both of those entities are pitching similar concepts to institutions right now. And you don't talk about that at all. There are 800-pound gorillas that you need to address. If you choose not to address it, that's okay, but you need to be absolutely prepared to answer the Q&A because it'll come up.
In that sense,
every Q&A.
yeah, and in that sense, a way you could address it is up front when you're talking about the value proposition for alumni. You can even position Alum Social relative to LinkedIn and Facebook. So that's a way you can anticipate it. To say, LinkedIn lets me get my resume out there, but it's only as good as the data I enter, so it's not verified, and it doesn't really help me build a good community with other alumni based on the groups. And Facebook lets me connect with lots of different people, but again, I can't really sort and filter it and see anything official. And Alum Social solves both those problems. Or something.
I think it works well. I know we should have a slide at the end to flip to and so on, because that question is asked literally every single time. Instead of mentioning it, someone asks it, and you kind of just have like a solid answer that you can, and then have a slide at the end.
And you can address it up front and also clarify your value proposition, because you can make those same 4 points you did about why it's valuable to alumni and put them in the positioning context versus Facebook and LinkedIn, I think. So I think you have the value prop to support that. So.
Yeah.
Because I know you thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
On the demo side, the challenge you guys have is the functionality you built doesn't, you establish these problems up front, but then the functionality you built doesn't address them directly. That's kind of what everyone's saying. So, so to Todd's point, you need to look at screenshots. There is some value in terms of maybe using a persona to highlight sort of the functionality that you're presenting. That's, it's still, and this is feedback that we gave you guys last time too, the whole concept of badges and verification still isn't clear. And it's a key dimension, so you need to think about how you want to include it or not including it, because those are sort of all key things to think about in terms of in terms of your app. I'll echo Chris's points around your insights weren't really insights. At least that's what I wrote, because they people were asking for additional functionality. That in of itself isn't an insight, or at least how I define an insight, or your advisors would. On the marketing side, I still think even though you're selling to universities, you really need to talk about how you're going to get users as well as universities. And so you got to address that piece, because you're asking a significant price point, and the only way you're getting that price point out of out of very tightly managed funding constrained institutions is to address that. And within that, your financial assumptions and your marketing piece doesn't talk about the fact you're going to need people are going to want to test this for a period of time. And you're going to need to talk about that, how that, you can easily have universities say, or like Northwestern say, I like this, but I want to test it out for at least 6 months. And they're not going to pay you a dime for that more than likely. And you're going to invest a lot into that. Not in terms, software is built, but you're going to have people on site. You're going to have there's going to be a high degree of support. So it's very, you're dealing with a board of people who's used to doing selling to early adopters, but they know that selling usually is not selling initially. It's it's giving it away or with a hook of some sort. So I think you have to you need to think about that. And then my last point is, I think your critical success factors are okay, but I also felt like there's some other ones that you're missing in terms of really getting that first user on board and a few other things as relates to that.
One question, and I'm sure you've thought a little bit about it, which is, the business model today is based very much on institution adoption. And one question is, if institutions are as slow moving as Team's experience has been, is there some other way that you could build alumni momentum so that you can then come back and sell into the alumni base? And so like in that regard, I thought, well, are there specific alumni activities that could be targeted with the set of functionality